at some point that our shareholdings will be attractive to a much larger fund and will be subject to a takeover bid. In any event, now if we could hear from Sid, everybody's seen his report, I hope. I think Colton just is in the process of screen sharing it. And also, I think you sent out a link, didn't you, Colton?
Yeah, just check the chat if you want to see the report yourself, and you can link to it there.
All right, Sid.
Thank you, Dave. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. And again, thank you, Dave, for the opportunity. I have shared my screen. Colton, can everyone see the screen?
All good, yeah.
Okay, so this report we just published on Zimtu is quite different from our typical reports. It is more of an educational piece rather than an investment analysis report like the ones we did in the past for Zimtu. If you have not seen our initiating report on Zimtu, please check out our platform, researchfrc.com. We've been around for 18 years now, over 600 companies, and we are the largest in the issuer-paid research sector in North America. In this new report, we discuss Zimtu's company creation process and how they try to generate value during the process. For those who are not familiar with Zimtu, the company is an incubator focused on creating and investing in micro, small cap companies. We believe significant value can be created in the public company building process, and that's what Zimtu tries to capture for its investors. Now, I want to show you this chart here on page 2, which pretty much explains and summarizes what Zimtu tries to do. Basically, they aim to capture the value created during the public company building process. That's from point A to B in this chart, and any upside potential during discovery and exploration stages, which is from B to C. Most investors rarely have the opportunity to access the company building phase, which is point A to B. Now, Zimtu takes companies public either through a reverse takeover or an RTO or a non-prospectus offering. Both options are significantly cheaper and faster than the conventional IPO, initial public offering, that we see out there. And we have explained both these processes in detail in this report. So anyone interested can see how it's done, the time frame, the typical cost of both processes. We also mentioned some deals, some sample deals of Zimtu, and you can kind of appreciate how Zimtu does the process, how early investors come in, have come in the past at relatively lower prices, and finances are typically done in various stages, and valuations typically tend to increase with each stage. Now, I know that after me, we have a few companies presenting, and from some of these samples here. Bottom line, we believe Zimtu offers a unique opportunity to gain exposure to the company creation process. Zimtu has funded and created several companies in the past 2 decades. In fact, management has been operating in the space since the 1990s. And after reviewing Zimtu's business, we believe one of Zimtu's key strengths is its marketing team. Typically, after taking companies public, Zimtu offers marketing and admin services to its deals. And our report also explains the various marketing strategies, marketing initiatives that Zimtu does to potentially generate value to its deals. The report also talks about its existing portfolio. As mentioned earlier, its top 6 deals accounts for 87% of the portfolio. The company also have more than 20 other investments in public and private companies across resource and tech space and a few other sectors as well. But the primary focus of Zimtu has always been We think it's been resource and technology. We discussed management team with management holding as well. And I think that pretty much summarizes what we had to say in this report. Happy to stay on the call. And then if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Sid. Certainly, this is the first Zoom with Zimtu that we have done, focusing on Zimtu. And at this point, we will let some of the companies that we have recently created and some that are still in the process of being created on their way to becoming public. I might add that investing in private companies is a very risky business. The biggest risk is that the private company never then goes public. And so the one thing that Zimtu can do to mitigate that risk is that we're involved in taking them public. We're relative experts at that. So when Zimtu decides it's going to take a company public, the chances of us being successful are extremely high. Whereas your average private company on its own poses quite a substantial risk in that it might never get public. So we can avoid that for the most part. And I don't think we have anybody from Adiro here, but that's one of the companies that we created from scratch. It was called Dimension 5, and it was based on an app that Zimtu was creating. Unfortunately, it wasn't successful. The app wasn't, but we did then acquire Adiro, a technology out of Toronto that has global implications in that it converts waste plastic to energy, or I like to say it takes waste plastic and turns it into money. And that originally, I think we originally financed it at 7.5 cents or 5 cents?
5 cents.
At 5 cents, in order to do the Adiro transaction, it rolled back 3 for 1, which meant our Zimtu shareholders were in at 15 cents, and it's currently trading 78 or 80 cents. So a substantial win for the Zimtu shareholders, and clearly the technology has got a long ways to go in terms of perfecting it and offering it to the world. There's considerable upside left in Adiro, and the ticker symbol is as ACT, ACT. Trades on the CSE here in Canada. Our next company, did we have any order in mind, or
no?
One of the companies that is currently under construction, and I might add that one of the key aspects to getting a company public is that it needs to have 150 shareholders that have at least a board lot, and that's what creates the public distribution. So I could introduce Steve from Eagle Bay, and he and with help from Zimtu is taking a rare earth property in British Columbia public. under the name Eagle Bay. And Steve, how are we doing on getting the 150 shareholders?
Good morning. Thanks, Dave and Zimtu. We're doing, moving along. Was speaking with the company creation. I mean, this prior was in another company in 2019, and it just kind of fell by the wayside. And then Dave and I had met, and it said with the rare earth element and niobium taken off to where it was or is, no better time to start putting this together. As David said, putting together 150 shareholders, it may sound like an easy feat, but there's many different things that to come into play. But there's been a first tranche that was closed, accumulated quite a bit of money that came in. That recent news release was out at the end of 2021. And the second tranche, where we're at 7.5 cents, as Dave was touching on, private company and a private investment. And I understand, yes, the risk that comes in of being private. However, it is the best and biggest opportunity for return of investment. In this industry, as I've been the director of Eagle Bay Resources, as Zimtu has been, one thing that I've seen very, very strong at is building relationships and keeping those relationships and the trust over these times. That is where, again, as I continue to move forward, building overseas. Even this week, I'll be, there's a company from London, England that's flown in. As I've gotten to know more and more of this industry, and I'm sure if you've followed it, China has decided to, just cut off their resources. So that has really, really opened the eyes of more companies to look elsewhere. BC has specifically been a prime target for those resources, and really looking to, not just look for drill work programs, but really looking for exploration discovery, because the resources are lacking. So companies are really looking to spend that money for exploration discovery. And Eagle Bay, over time here, has been able to acquire a large amount of property that has really opened the eyes of institutional investors and some various big other companies that I've been speaking with. If I could just briefly here share my screen, I'll go through a quick PowerPoint for everyone so you can see exactly where it is we are. Again, as I touched on the team, a lot of these are familiar faces. And again, this was Zimtu and how good they are with building those relationships. A lot of the team and familiar faces you see on other teams, and keeping those relationships and the contacts they bring in to each and every company that they do create. As I touched on, the rare earth element space couldn't be at a better time at the moment. The electrical vehicle, many different aspects of where they're going to be used. And again, as we have acquired a large amount of property since been at working with Eagle Bay here. And the more property that we have, the more that there's going to be for exploration discovery for many different companies. I'm touching on the niobium, and then moving forward, just as I'm speaking on the property, you may be curious where it is. We're 85 kilometers northeast of Prince George. Our property is called actually the Rocky Mountain Rare Earth Metal Belt. You may have heard it in previous presentations years ago. Now this is seems to be a real prime focus, and we couldn't be more excited at this time to be in the position that we are with Eagle Bay Resources. And once again, we do have a private placement open. We are in our second tranche. Our first tranche we closed almost $500,000, and we're right out of the gate here in the new year. Close this second tranche, and as Sid was just saying, we will be going to an NOP, 150 shareholders, and into a public listing. Again, the big thing with private companies was Zimtu backing it. That is the difference between one company going by itself and a company like Eagle Bay being backed by Zimtu. Again, those relationships that have been built over time with the CSE are very beneficial in times like this, and having someone, again, like Zimtu that is backing us is, you know, a really exciting time, and we look forward to being public very, very soon.
Thanks, Steve. Certainly, there is still lots of opportunity in Eagle Bay. Just contact the office if you're interested in participation. Do we have Nick?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Nick, maybe you could tell us a little bit about Core Assets. Core is one of the companies that Zimtu assisted in going public, and it's kind of an interesting story in that when we originally bought the property, we bought it in Zimtu's name, and Nick was Zimtu's geologist, and it was a couple of weeks before Christmas. And these two prospectors brought this property in, and Nick and I were looking at it, and I kind of got the feeling that what they were really looking for was Christmas dinner. So we made them a very attractive offer to us, or for us, and then Nick and actually with my son, went to the property and started exploring it. We realized that it was an opportunity for us to create a new listing, and we went ahead and took that property public. And Nick will give us a little feedback on where we're at. This is an extremely exciting property. And again, Zimtu shareholders originally financed it at 5 cents. It's, you know, trading at 30 cents with large upside, I would say. Nick, are you there?
I am. I think I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, so I got 4 or 5 slides here, but yeah, I mean, we set out in, it was basically 2016, we started looking for energy metal assets, very early stage stuff, and we did a few lithium deals and a few different ones, and then we started looking for cobalt, and I did basically some regional desktop work, and I found an area in Atlan, BC, and you can see here in this picture. And we were looking at cobalt, and we ended up running into high-grade copper, zinc, lead, silver, and the best of which was found this past season, and it's actually exposed in the ground, and it's visible. So we plan to drill this target this year, and I mean the grades speak for themselves, and we're very, very excited about this project. And overall, you know, again, grades are high, and we don't leave any of our samples out. Every sample that's taken is a massive sulfide that you can see here in the red dots. And we think what we have outlined here with our geophysics is that there's a potential porphyry system that is feeding these high-grade anomalies. So the idea is to drill what we can see and follow it all the way back to the source, because these types of deposits are known for being continuous all the way back to the source. Again, note the scale here. This is massive, 6.6 kilometers by 1.8 kilometers, and that is a massive sulfide occurrences. Some are continuous, others are isolated, but they should all be connected back to the source. We're using a model that has been used all over the world since 1990. No one's ever approached this area with this model, nor has anyone ever actually stepped foot in the Grizzly discovery zone that we made this year. But some of these deposits that were distinctly found actually using this model are on the right here, and then one being the Taylor deposit, which was bought for 1.3 billion. That was back in 2018. So we're looking for a carbonate replacement type porphyry system, and these are the largest producers of copper, silver, zinc, and lead in the world. So it's a district scale thing, and we own the whole area. And just the catalyst, of course, as we already spoke about, is that it's extremely large, and it's at surface, so we can see it. And this is an example of what we're seeing in the limestone beds. You're getting total replacement there of these limestone beds. And this is just massive metal that you're seeing here. But one of the more important things, I guess, out of everything is that it's so tightly held. And Zimtu and myself have been backing this thing from the very beginning. So, you know, we know this thing the best out of anyone. And Zimtu holds, I think, over 10% ownership. I personally own about 25%, and there's not much stock that's really available right now. We've been lucky enough to be able to do some nice lockups and whatnot to keep to mitigate kind of the influx of shares into the market. This is some examples of what we're dealing with here. When I say massive metal in the ground, it is pure metal in the ground, and it's very appealing. I got to say, when you're there, and I just want to give it a good example of what we're talking about here. This is the Grizzly Manto zone, and we did channel sample as much as we safely could. I got about 5 meters of it here vertically, and this is going to be very indicative of what a drill hole might look like this season. Those assays are currently pending, so you'll see those dribble out here over the next couple months, and it should be. We're all very excited to get those back from the lab, and that's basically the end of my little blurb here. But everything was created from Zimtu at the very beginning, and we've stuck with it, and we're gonna continue to the end, all the way to hopefully a large discovery if we're so lucky to have that.
Nick, why is it called the Grizzly anyway?
Well, we had a grizzly encounter there one day where we were up on the side of that, exactly where I was standing there, and we could hear some noises. And I don't have a lot of experience with grizzly bears, more black bears, but we could hear for about 45 minutes. We could hear kind of some screeching noises, and I kind of joked to the guy I had there with me. We were like, that could be the gophers fighting, because that's all we saw when we were up there is gophers. It looks like you could be in the Arctic, basically, up the end of this glacier. Anyways, after 45 minutes, of course, we went around the corner, and there was a.
Oh no!
Oh dear, Nick, you froze.
Give him a second here.
Hello.
There we go.
Anyways, so the grizzly did drive us up on the hill there, but luckily we got out of there, unscathed, and we also made a discovery. So it was a bonus, and I'm still alive to tell the tale.
Thanks very much, Nick. The opportunity in core is still very much there. At this point, it's an opportunity in the open market. There are some new, strong people coming on to the team. Core is going to do quite well. I'm very confident in that. Who's next, Colton?
SWMBRD.
Oh, yes. Justin, are you ready for this? SWMBRD is a company that's in the middle of the company creation process. Justin and I refer to it as a ping pong game. And the object is we serve the first serve, and the ball goes into the Security Commission court, and they bounce it back, and with questions, we answer the questions and serve the ping pong ball back to them, and we hope we're in the final stages. But Justin, maybe you should tell us a little bit about what SWMBRD is, and it's kind of a new area for Zimtu to be involved in.
Yes, thanks, Dave. So just I'll get to that, but just quickly, bring you to where we are right now. As Dave said, the ping pong ball literally is going back and forth right at the net right now. The process has gone very well. We submitted our response to their last response right on Christmas Eve. They were very reasonable questions. To summarize, we are very optimistic that in the next week or so, we will get the go-ahead. Obviously, I can't guarantee that, but it's looking very, very good. To explain how we got here, I was actually the Commerce Resources VP of Investor Relations, as many of you know, for 6 years. In that time, Dave got exposed constantly, as did everyone, to what was then Zambezi, which was a company that had been started about 7 years before, revolutionary new product, huge amounts spent on patents and design, and exposure in places like Greece and Hawaii. We had very, very good angel investors that had brought it to that point. After some period of time, long story short, we discussed with Dave discussed with us, and it fit the model whereby Zimtu could actually come on board. And the advantage, of course, and this is the Zimtu advantage, is that my relationship with so many of the Commerce shareholders who are Zimtu shareholders was vital to us very rapidly bringing in, I believe we're up to 179 shareholders. And so and all real firm shareholders who either know me or know Dave or know my brothers. Consequently, we had very rapidly achieved what is one of the most difficult things, as many of you may know, which is the distribution, getting the names. Zimtu was, it could not have been done any other way. And now we are very, very happy that things worked out. So basically, we did the deal. And we then did a series of financings. Shareholders all came in for a significant amount. This allowed us to advance the company rapidly. What was Zambezi became SWMBRD. The board went through the redesign that had been planned for a long time because now there was the money there. And the board was relaunched in Greece. This is what I'm going to show you right now. The relevance to the process is that while this was happening over here, the prospectus and the filing with the exchange was happening parallel. And the work that we were able to do because of the support of the shareholders added to the prospectus, making the company that much stronger in the eyes of the Securities Commission. So it was a very strong and muscular way of tackling it, and that's what's been very fast. To get back to today's question, in the chat there, I've put a link to a video. We are very video reliant. The video, if you can get a chance to take a look, please do on YouTube. It will explain a lot about what this revolutionary product is. But for now, I'm going to share screen, and we'll go into this one here. Share. So here's the PowerPoint underway. Just to see here, slideshow. Sorry. Can you guys see this? Is this visible to you all? Yes. Okay, I'm not going to show the whole PowerPoint, obviously, but this is cut straight to the chase. Here's one of our team leaders in Athens, Fania. You can see the board there clearly. You use diaphragms with it. It's the most remarkable aquatic sports product. It will change human aquatics. Alex Topsoglu, the other team leader, he is also heading up the entire fitness regimen that you will see coming from this. A multi-million-dollar industry, obviously, globally. There's the video. I really encourage you to watch it. It's a whole new board, new sport, and new brand. What actually happened? Let's get to what we actually did this summer. That's the Athens Riviera. This area is of critical importance. It's where the product will be launched, is being launched. The goal is very simple, of course. If Athens falls, Greece falls, and if Greece falls, the world falls. You have millions and tens of millions of tourists that pass through the bottleneck of Athens going to the islands, plus a huge resident population. And as you can see there, I mean, that's just the beginning of the Riviera. The water is absolutely spectacular. This is actually from this summer, Zen Beach, famous Zen Beach. These are very, very influential beaches. High net worth, mega yachts, etc. You can see the boards there. Some of our team members here. But absolute SWMBRD heaven. This is obviously just some market photographs from the locals. The key thing with this is the board for everybody. And we do really mean that. You can be any age, any size, whatever. And that is so important because most people can't surf or sup or do what have you. Look at the difference in these people. Look at the faces. They will say 1,000 words. So what the big thing is, the focus initially is on the hotels. And this is what's happening right now. Why do they want this board? It's simple, it's fun, the guests can learn it fast, it's easy to store, and it's much cheaper than big boards. You can have so much fun. So this is one hotel that currently has the pre-production boards, the Divani Apollon, very, very high end, as part of a chain, of course, as well. All the way down here, if you can see my cursor, are all these resorts that we were exposed to. So this is Dimitri. They've got a whole thing where they're taking people to the islands, they're jumping off of the boards, etc. These are the pre-production boards. The mass production boards are coming this year. That there in the mold is for a SUP, obviously, but our mold will look like that. There's actually two molds. The board is going to be made by Tahi in France. Top notch. So very, very quickly, where are we at right now? We are going to close up the current financing, which is open until the BCSC says close it, because obviously we have to close it before we can file the final prospectus. And after that, obviously, we move forward with planning for next year. The boards will come out, and there will be an allocation to all of these resorts in Athens. That's it for the time that I have right now. There's a lot more to tell. Please feel free to email me. I'd be happy to give you the full PowerPoint presentation if you'd like. Thank you, Dave.
Justin, I believe you still have a private placement open, do you?
Yes, we do. We do.
Can you tell us about that?
Private placement. This private placement was opened at the as the last offering, but prior to this side of the line. Now, why is a private placement at this side of the line important? Because to our understanding, the stock that gets bought now will be free trading, because it will be included in the prospectus. Obviously, as you all know, a private placement that occurs after that time will be subject to a hold. So it's 10.
What's the price? Justin, the price.
We're getting there. We're getting there. It's at 10 cents.
The price.
10
What's
cents.
The price?
10 cents.
And is there a warrant with that?
There will be a 15-cent warrant with that for 1 year. Let me know, please, if you're interested.
Do you mind, Justin, just throwing the YouTube video in the chat?
I threw it in there. It should be in there. I'll throw it in again if you'd like.
Yeah, just make sure it's getting sent to everyone. Sometimes it goes
it's going to everyone. Yep. Enter. Oh, there we are. There we are. I didn't hit enter.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Regarding that financing, just very quickly, if you are interested, please let me know as soon as possible. We are expecting to hear back from the exchange. It will be necessary to close it, hopefully this week. Thank you.
All right, folks, that's the end of the company presentations. We will now open it up to questions, and certainly you can ask questions of any of the company personnel, of Sid from Fundamental, and of course, I will take questions as well. So Colton, maybe you could just read the questions out that we have built up.
Sure. So the first one comes from Helmut about Zimtu. So despite various publications, interest in Zimtu shares is very low and very few shares are traded, both in Canada and in Germany. What's the reason for this?
Well, you know, the low trading volume is quite common in companies like Zimtu. It is our intention to continue to build the assets of Zimtu, and certainly one of the ways that we do that fairly dramatically is through company creation. You know, Zimtu will own 20 million shares of Eagle Bay. We have 15 million shares out. You can imagine what that is going to add to Zimtu's value. We'll have 11 million shares of SWMBRD, and both those companies work out of the Zimtu offices. So we will be able to offer them whatever assistance they require. And when we first got into this game, we were going to build companies like using the Henry Ford assembly line system. But the problem with that is as soon as you add people, everything changes. So wherever either Eagle Bay or SWMBRD, wherever they need help, we'll be there to offer it because we have quite a variety of connections throughout the industry. Certainly Zimtu will be part of the marketing for both Eagle Bay and SWMBRD as they become public.
Let me read this one.
Sure.
Yeah, so second question here. Did Zimtu take Zinc8 public? I see holdings were decreased recently. What's the rationale behind that shift? Why isn't the spread between market cap and enterprise value being arbitraged by management or outsiders of Zimtu stock?
Okay, so there's a couple of sneaky questions in there. So in Zinc8's case, we were aware of the technology, and it was in a public company that wasn't getting proper attention, and I offered for them to have their board meeting in our boardroom. And the topic of the discussion for that very early board meeting was that they were broke and couldn't meet payroll. So, being the opportunist that Zimtu is, we offered to write them a check to meet payroll. So we wrote them $100,000 check on the spot on the condition that we could do a financing at 6 cents with a warrant, and that I was going to control the book. By the book, that means who gets what. The former president of what was called MGX Renewables wanted an allocation, and I turned him down, essentially taking control of the technology of the public company, and introduced the current president, Ron McDonald, former politician. Well, he's a former politician, but he's still very much a politician, and so that aspect in leading the company is creating value for the Zinc8 shareholders, including Zimtu.
So holdings were decreased recently. What's the rationale behind that shift?
That early 6 cent financing came with a 12-cent warrant, and the decrease in shares of Zinc8 were to fund the exercise of those warrants. So we sold some stock, gave the money to Zinc8, and took down our 12-cent warrants when the company was trading 28, 30 cents, somewhere in that range. So it might have looked like our position went down, but I think in actual fact it went up after the exercise of the warrants.
Okay, so this one's more about Zimtu. So why isn't the spread between market cap and enterprise value being arbitraged by management or outsiders of Zimtu stock?
Well, certainly, you're welcome to do that. You can buy as much stock as you want. However, the rationale behind Zimtu is that we intend on continuing to build the value of the companies that we hold, continue to build new shareholder, new shares in new companies like Eagle Bay and SWMBRD, and eventually at some point that our shareholdings will be attractive to a much larger fund and will be subject to a takeover bid, which will provide the eventual liquidity and upside to all the Zimtu shareholders. You'll notice that one of our deals that has been on the books forever, Amarita, EMO is the symbol. You know, we started supporting EMO, I believe, at below 10 cents in any event. And, you know, they were in court proceedings for years. And from that support, they have now managed to trade a high of slightly over $4. Currently trading in the $3 range. I think it's, but that company, and there's a number of our other holdings that I believe are going to do the same thing. And at some point, as we acquire more and more companies that that are able to attract a major fund.
Okay, so this is a follow-up question from Helmut. Sort of answered it just now, but I'll go ahead and say it. Hello, some investments have done well so far, and the management of Zimtu can live quite well from sales and switches, but the shareholders have not benefited for years. On the contrary, the share price has not recovered for years, and trading is very, very moderate. So it is also inappropriate for Mr. Hodge to keep saying you must buy. No, we have already bought, and Zimtu is now on the hook. I'm speaking here on behalf of the German shareholders who finally want to share in the success. Why not, for example, buy warrants from Amarita and possibly sell some shares and distribute 10 to 15 cents to shareholders? That would not lower the NAV much and would certainly give the share price a boost.
Our thinking on how we're operating Zimtu, I think it's a little unfair to suggest that that it supports my lifestyle. All of the Zimtu staff are paid a moderate salary compared to others in the industry. Our objective is to build value so that we get taken out, and that's our objective.